Hello guys, welcome back. This is Pete, and we are actually starting to get the surface ready for panel lines here now. And if you're not doing panel lines on your jet, some of you will, some of you won't. This is probably the furthest of the steps that you'll have to go before you seal it and paint it, or whatever you're going to do. The one thing I do want to point out is that I do guide coating. I've had a lot of people asking about it, and when I do it, I actually put it over the whole thing, but I want to show you guys just roughly why I do it, and I'm going to do a little bit of a demonstration here. Now, you'll notice I've got it sitting on the table, and that's because I'm finishing that one up and getting it glassed in. Now, the one thing that I want to emphasize the most is when you look back on the plane, you're going to see some lines in it. Well, a lot of this is going to disappear at this point, and you're going to see one basically right here that is going to kind of make you go, really? Okay, now I've talked about the 2K primers and all that and why I use them, but now I've gone in because now we're starting to get ready for details. Now that my main thing is done, you'll see some dark gray spots. The dark gray is actually the 2K primer, and then the second is a filling primer that I use, and this is actually Duplicolor. Now, when I do surfacing over the main glass thing and everything, I use 2K over it so that I have a good base that will never shrink back. And that gives me a good base for putting a very thin coat of filler over this before I start doing the panel lines. And this stuff sands amazingly well. And I'm going to show you a little bit here in how I do it. And one thing I'm going to tell you, just get you a spray bottle, a couple drops of soap in it, and this and that, and you're good. Now, what I'm going to do is kind of demonstrate, and I'm going to show you real close. This right here, it feels good, but it's not. And you're going to see there's a little bit of a line in here. And then you're going to see back here where I've actually rounded that out and got rid of that line. However, I got a little bit of one right here, and that is going to be some filling I'm going to have to do right in here. And that's why I do this. Also, you're going to notice down here, there's some darker areas where it's just barely been touched. And so I'm going to show you right in here what I do and how to do this. And then I'm going to wipe it off and I'm going to show you. So basically, you don't need a lot of water. And with this particular part in this is going to be kind of a bastard to do with one hand, but no pressure. You want no pressure, but you want to be running very long strokes. Don't push on this particular part of this, because if you do, you're going to get very upset with yourself because you'll just go right through it. And you want to be using very long strokes. Now with this, you're going to go one way. Let me see if I can figure a way to get this on a deal so that you can see what's going on. Okay, here we go. Now, basically, guys, I'm going to sweat today because I just wanted to get a little bit more if I had to. Put a little bit of water on it. And then with 400 grit, you want to be very long strokes. And this sounds very fast. It's not a lot of work, but you're going to notice here, and I'm doing this just to show. I'm not going to show me sanding the whole damn airplane down. That's just not cool. You're going to go through a lot of paper towels. Now, this is something you want to be very careful of, because if you don't, as you can see, that guide coding is going to show you a lot of these lines, like in here. And this is what I'm trying to run out and get rid of. And I'm going to go ahead and just do this spot, just to kind of show you guys where we're at on this. And again, I'm not using any pressure when sanding this. And it's very important also that you don't get your wood wet while wet sanding this. Go very, very, very easy on it. And if you get some little spots, that's okay. Don't worry about going through on any of these, and don't reprime it. One of the things that I tell guys a lot, especially when you're finishing a plane, especially if you're building one scale like I'm doing, you don't want a straight airplane, because we are going to weather this airplane. And one of the things that and make sure that you're going not straight. You don't want to be going straight. You want to be going in a diagonal, but you want to be running a very, 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 not necessarily a straight line through this, but you want to be running kind of like this and then come back. And it's called cross hatching. And what this does is it absolutely will keep, it will knock these lines down. And if you're doing this with no pressure, you're going to find out that your surface is not going to be flattened out. So you want to go very, very, very back and forth and go to where you're actually blending in. And this is where you're going to be blending in a lot of this body work. This will work for anything you are doing. Anything that you're doing, you're going to be seeing a lot of really cool things come out of this. And don't get it too overly wet, just get it so you can do it, and you're going to wipe it off. You're going to wipe it off, and you're going to go through a lot of paper towels. If I could find my sanding block, I could actually show you another little dirty trick you can do, but it makes a big mess in the shop. And I can tell you right now, this looks pretty freaking cool. So, it looks cool. I love doing body work. This is one of the things that gets a lot of people in trouble when finishing their airplanes, but this is also This will make or break. This will make or break any of your builds. I need to be too damn quiet here, but the main thing is I've got a lot of raised panels and details that I've got to put in this particular airplane. And one thing I don't want, the one thing that I absolutely don't want on this is this airplane perfectly straight. And the reason being for it is they are wavy, and there's no such thing as a straight airplane. Fiberglass ones, maybe. But not on a wood or not on any real one. And so the one thing that I want to emphasize the most on this is don't try to get too totally perfect. We got a lot more work to do right there. But looking down at it looks great. These little spots are blended. You can learn how to feel with your hand. You can feel with your hand any sharp lines like right in there. You got them. No pressure. There's no pressure on that, and that turned out good. Otherwise, what happens is, that looks good. Now, another thing you can do when you get ready to do this, and also I will be painting this with a camouflage. It will hide quite a bit of it. But you can spray it with water and it'll get it shiny. And let me show you here. When you get it with water, you gotta look past the water drops. When you look past it, you can see that it's there, but you'll notice there's a little bit of wave in there. That's almost too straight. But then when I do the panel lines, that'll fix that. And you're going to see the differences. I also want to show you in here, you can't feel these, but you can see these. And the one thing is like this, that means that's low. But what you're looking to do is get this. Once that's all black and all that black disappears, like right in here needs a little, that's actually pretty good. We'll come back on that. But also once this is done, I will come back and I will touch up these areas. These seams are just a little bit too tight, and I want to leave enough room so paint does get in it, and that'll tighten it up even more. And I can always come back wet after it is painted and touch those up a little bit. And that'll all go with a lot of the weathering. And so a lot of guys wouldn't go to this much of an extreme, but as you can see, the plane doesn't weigh that much. But the one thing that I am going to tell you, I'm going to be doing a lot of cutting out in there. I'm going to be doing a lot of work in this. And this is going to be the one that's going to get an awful lot of details and a lot of things, a lot of spot priming, little things here and there, and things that are just going to make it just that much better looking. There's some stuff that I'm putting in that is scaled to the model on this, and then all these other pieces and parts once it's all sanded. And then I will let this dry for a while. But I want you guys to look down the side here, and hopefully you can see that these lines that you're looking at in here, they're gone. And this is actually filled This I will hand sand out. I don't worry about this because there is a fillet that goes right there. But I won't put it in until I get the actual deal because it is raised on the jet that I saw. So there are certain things that I am going to copy, but the main thing is so I can get this first panel line going on, because everything measures from about right here up, and from this line forward, and that gives me the lines for everything else that I'm doing. And this will probably take me, to get all this done, it's going to take a little bit of time, because the guns actually do sit right in here and they stagger. But there is a panel that goes in there that I will raise because it's not in the detail set. And it's probably just as well it's not, because I am going to be taking, I've got a tube in here. This will be actually installed into here, and I will cut this off with a Dremel, and I'll show you how I do it if you want to do it. Now it's going to be part of another deal, but basically we're going to be putting 3 of these in, and those are guns, and also be having LEDs that will flash inside there, and just really cool stuff. I've got at least 6 months worth of detailing to do to this airplane, and so there's a lot of things I'm just getting ready to do. Once I have panel lines done and I got them masked off, I can do them, then we're going to be good. And then I can start getting other things done. All my wings are done, they're painted, got canopies to do, got interiors to do, got all kinds of stuff going on. Also, we got to go in there and block sand out the intake and this and that. We're going to test fit the engine tomorrow because it'll be here today. And then I'm going to get these drilled out so I can get some captured nuts installed in there so it's easy to get in and out should I need to. And then there's just a lot of little things and a lot of Dremel work. So anyway, I'm going to get back to sanding and get this and let this cure out some more, do some touch-up priming, a little bit of Bondo repair right in here, because this is just too much and I don't like that. And so I've got a dent right there that needs to be fixed, and that'll be a no-brainer. It's just like I did over here and had to do it over there. Not worried about it. You know, it's just getting it done and working things over. So anyway, guys, I'm back on it, and I think the jet's looking pretty good. There's a few things that are okay, but they're not. The one thing is, like I'm telling you, my vision for this is a weathered, beat-up airplane. I want this thing to look like it's been in a freaking dogfight and been shot a couple times. There will be some bullet holes put in it. There will be little things that'll go in. And I am using the 309th wing. It will be camouflaged, and it's going to have a red nose with a black lightning bolt on it and the tail. I'm not going to do the original one I thought. I just found one that's so much cooler to look at. And there is a camouflage version of this airplane, and I'm gonna, well, see if I can get this out without destroying everything. I'll show you guys. That's our bogey. And there is a camouflaged version of the Black Angel, and it was used in the Korean War. And all these little things, panel lines you're looking at and stuff like that are a little different, but I'm going to show you some. This is an F model. We're running the A model, and the A model was actually in fact used. And I'm going to show you this part too, because this is a drawing and it's not exactly correct and right, but anyway, we are going to correct it and make it right, because this is actually a hood on the A model. And I want to show you guys some other stuff too. Now, and this is why you want to see the sharper nose. And this is something that was asked to me a few times, and I'm going to tell you right now, we are not an F model. This is an A model. So your reference pictures and stuff, you're going to see lots of F models, and there's a lot of differences in those jets. There are a lot of difference in the F-86 between the F and the A model. Okay. The Air World jet is an F model. Okay. And so is the Tomahawk. And this is another thing that got kind of brought up. And I forgot about it. I was going to address it yesterday when I did the last video. But there are some things I want to show you guys that are different. The vertical fin right here on that particular jet is completely different on the A model. The tail is different. And this is totally different. This is why I had to redo all that, because the A model it's basically the first edition of the F-86 is a very, very, very different airplane. And on the F model, it's way rounder. It's probably a full inch wider on the deal, so the intake is completely different. And you really need to research your papers on the A model. You can make this an F model if you do it, but you're going to fight yourself and everything on this. You're going to be putting a lot of fill and you're going to be working this over. And also, the horizontal stabilizer completely does, and this area is completely different on the A model. This is the A model. It is not an F. If it was, this would be sitting, it's actually thicker, and you can actually see it. It comes all the way down in here. It actually does show a big swoop. The A model does not have that. This is the way the A model is done. They completely reconfigured and made the airplane quite a bit bigger. And the reason they did that was, and that's why they had the speed brakes, by the way, is because the controls would lock on them and they got going too fast and they couldn't control the airplane. So they had to find a way to slow it down. So the air brakes were installed on that. And that's just a part of what this is and what everything is on these particular jets. The A model is a different airplane. And so it's kind of cool to see it and see it take shape, but it is slightly different. Also, the F model had a different cockpit arrangement, which is why I went with high fly Achilles, because I want to keep the period as correct as possible, but there's a lot of things I'm going to do to this that makes it completely different as well. So I'm going to show you a lot of these differences on the A models, because they are completely and totally a different airplane. And I'll show you more of this when I start doing the panel line configurations on this. And I'll show you why that nose is so much different and why you need to look at some different things on these and get the thing thought out very well. So I'm going to show you a lot of differences. And I'm going to show you some drawings and things that I have that I will be using. We will be using 2 different scales of drawings for some of this, because the detail sets were done off of 1/72 drawings. And that's going to tell me where I can put all these nocular parts on here. And there's also some big differences between the guns on there's a lot of different gun configurations on these. And so I'm going to go over a lot of that here when I start laying this out. And I'm going to show you how I do those and start getting it. And it takes a long time to do panel lines if you do them accurately and you actually see little things that go in there. It's just the detail set that's sitting up there is going to simplify an awful lot of it. And then I'm going to show you where I'm going to be making new latches and new lots of little tiny things that are just not there that I think it really needs to be there. So anyway, until then, we'll see you in the funny papers.